the end of assumptions. Most people don't realize it, but the foundation of our entire digital world, your bank logins, your private messages, your medical records, is built on a house of cards. We rely on mathematical assumptions that a computer can't solve a problem fast enough. But in a world with Shor's algorithm and quantum processors, those assumptions vanish. Welcome back to AI Quantum Secure. I am your quantum architect, and today we aren't talking about better software or harder math. We're talking about the laws of physics. We're breaking down BB84, the protocol that uses the universe itself to secure our future. The Quantum Exchange. In 1984, Bennett and Broussard changed the game. Instead of sending a key as a string of digital bits, BB84 encodes information onto individual photons. As you can see here, Alice sends a sequence of random bits using two distinct polarization bases, the rectilinear plus and the diagonal cross. On the other end, Bob measures those photons using his own randomly chosen filters. When their bases match, they keep the bit. When they don't, they throw it away. This sifting process creates a shared secret that isn't just hard to guess, it's fundamentally unpredictable because it's powered by true quantum randomness, not deterministic software. The security, detecting Eve. But here is the brilliant part. In the quantum world, you cannot observe something without changing it. We call this the observer effect. If an eavesdropper, we'll call her Eve, tries to intercept the key, she leaves fingerprints in the form of errors. Look at our security threshold. Modern systems have a little noise, usually between 1% and 3%. But if Eve performs a full intercept and resend attack, that error rate, the QBER, spikes to a characteristic 25%. If we cross the 11% maximum security limit, Alice and Bob don't just hope for the best, they abort the session immediately. It's a system with a built-in alarm that no hacker can silence. BB84 is the gold standard of quantum key distribution. It's the transition from hoping a computer isn't fast enough to knowing the physics of the universe has your back. In this video, we're going deep. We'll look at the math behind these bases, the reality of privacy amplification, and how we implement this in the real world. Let's get started.
Welcome to AI Quantum Secure. Today, we're looking at the protocol that changed everything, BB84. For decades, our digital world has relied on mathematical assumptions, the hope that a computer isn't powerful enough to crack a code. But hope isn't a security strategy. BB84 replaces those fragile assumptions with the fundamental laws of physics. This is the foundation of quantum key distribution, where security is guaranteed by the universe itself, not just an algorithm. Let's break down how we move from classical uncertainty to quantum certainty.
To understand why we need BB84, we have to look at the threat. Current encryption, the stuff that protects your bank and your privacy, relies on RSA and ECC. These are based on math problems that take classical computers thousands of years to solve. But Shor's algorithm changes everything. A powerful enough quantum computer can cut through that math in seconds, rendering our current digital locks useless. We aren't just looking for a faster algorithm, we need a completely different foundation for trust. This is the paradigm shift, physics over math. While math can be solved by better hardware, the laws of physics are immutable. BB84 doesn't ask a computer to solve a hard puzzle. Instead, it uses the properties of the universe, specifically the behavior of light particles, or photons, to exchange keys. In this world, security isn't a calculation, it's a physical reality. If the physics holds, the key is secure, period. At the heart of BB84 is true quantum randomness. Classical computers use pseudo-randomness, formulas that look random but can be predicted if you know the starting seed. Quantum randomness is different. When we measure a photon in a superposition state, the result is genuinely unpredictable. There is no hidden formula and no secret seed. This fundamental unpredictability is the first line of defense in the BB84.
To send data, we use polarization bases. Think of these as specific orientations for our photons. In BB84, we use two incompatible sets, the rectilinear basis, which looks like a plus sign, and the diagonal basis, which looks like a cross. Because these bases are mathematically incompatible, you cannot measure a photon in one without losing the information from the other. This no-cloning reality is exactly what makes it impossible for an eavesdropper to copy the key in secret.
The process begins with Alice. At this stage, she's the only one who knows the sequence. She starts by generating a series of random bits, zeros and ones. But here's the quantum twist. She doesn't just send them as electrical pulses. She chooses a basis for each bit, either the rectilinear plus basis or the diagonal cross basis. This choice determines the physical orientation of the photon she sends into the quantum channel. Because these choices are independent and random, she's creating a raw sequence that is fundamentally unpredictable to anyone else.
Now, the photons reach Bob. But there's a problem. Bob has no idea which basis Alice used to encode each photon. Because of the laws of quantum mechanics, he has to guess. There's a 50% probability he'll choose the matching basis. When he gets it right, his measurement is 100% accurate, and he recovers Alice's bit perfectly. But if he chooses the mismatched basis, the measurement collapses into random noise, absolute garbage. At this point, Bob has a string of data, but he doesn't yet know which parts of it are actually useful.
This is where the sifting happens. Alice and Bob hop onto a public channel for a discussion. Crucially, they never reveal their actual bits. They only compare their basis. If Alice used a plus and Bob used a plus, it's a match, and they keep that bit. If their bases are different, a plus versus a cross, it's a mismatch, and that data is discarded immediately. By the end of this phase, they've filtered out the noise and are left with a sequence where their results should, in theory, be identical. The output of this process is the sifted key. Think of this like a refined gold bar pulled from raw ore. It is a sequence of bits known only to Alice and Bob. Because it was generated via true quantum randomness, it's impossible for an outsider to reconstruct it. However, it isn't ready for use just yet. While it's highly secure, it still needs to go through error correction to account for any environmental noise, or, more importantly, to check if someone was trying to listen in. Enter Eve, the spy. In a classical system, Eve can tap a wire and copy data without anyone knowing. But in the quantum world, there is a physics barrier. You cannot measure a quantum system without disturbing it. If Eve tries an intercept and resend attack, she has to guess the basis just like Bob did. Half the time, she'll guess wrong, and when she resends that disturbed photon to Bob, she permanently alters its state. Eve cannot be invisible. Her very presence introduces errors into the stream that Alice and Bob will catch. How do we measure that disturbance? We use the QBER, or quantum bit error rate. It's a simple formula, the number of mismatched bits divided by the total bits in matching bases. If there's no eavesdropper, the QBER should be near 0%, meaning the bits match perfectly. But if Eve is intercepting, we see a characteristic spike. The QBER jumps to approximately 25%. That 25% is the unmistakable fingerprint of an intercept and resend attack. It's our quantum alarm system.
Security in BB84 isn't all or nothing. It's about thresholds. In the real world, equipment isn't perfect, so we expect normal system noise between 1% and 3%. We call the safety line the Shor-Preskill limit at 11%. As long as the error rate is below 11%, the keys are still recoverable through error correction. But the moment the error rate exceeds that line, the session is considered compromised and must be aborted immediately. If we see that 25% spike, we know for a fact that Eve is present.
Let's summarize the defense. First, we prioritize physics over math, relying on photon polarization rather than algorithmic difficulty. We use true randomness to prevent any key reconstruction by an attacker. Our basis selection process hides the information behind incompatible states. Because of the nature of quantum measurement, Eve cannot listen without creating QBER spikes. And finally, the 11% threshold provides us with a distinct, proven safety line that tells us exactly when to trust our connection and when to walk away. So, where does BB84 actually fit? Think of it as the ultimate handshake. The BB84 protocol generates the symmetric key. That key is then used by standard AES encryption to lock your data. BB84 ensures that no one else is listening before the conversation even begins. It doesn't replace the encryption we use today. It secures the most vulnerable part of the process, the key exchange, making the entire data transmission path truly secure.
Key takeaways. Core principles. Physics over mathematics. The BB84 protocol shifts security from mathematical assumptions, which are vulnerable to Shor's algorithm, to the immutable laws of quantum mechanics. True quantum randomness. Unlike classical pseudo-randomness, quantum states provide fundamentally unpredictable, non-deterministic security for key generation. Incompatible measurement bases. Using rectilinear, plus, and diagonal times polarization bases ensures that any attempt to measure a photon in the wrong basis permanently alters its state. Security and implementation. The observer effect. Quantum mechanics guarantees that an eavesdropper, Eve, cannot intercept a key without leaving detectable fingerprints in the form of errors. The 11% security threshold. The Shor-Preskill limit provides a safety line. Keys are recoverable if the error rate, QBER, is below 11%, but the session must be aborted if it is higher. Symmetric key generation. BB84 functions as a quantum-safe handshake to generate symmetric keys for established encryption methods like AES. Master the quantum frontier. Follow the AI Quantum Secure YouTube channel for more valuable AI and quantum security topics. The quantum era is here. Make sure you are ready for it.